What's up guys, my name is Ace, and one question I've been getting quite a bit since the multiplayer beta of Black Ops 4 is what should I spend my permanent unlock token on? Because if you guys remember, in the multiplayer beta, if you reach rank 34, you will get a permanent unlock token at launch that you can use on any created class item. And that means as you go through your prestiges and you reset your level, you will keep that item forever and you won't have to rank up and reach the level that you would normally need to unlock it. Now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to answer this question because we didn't know what the unlock levels for various items would be, and we didn't even know what all the items would be in the final build of the game just based on the beta. So I've been waiting on this one, but now we actually know this, and a big thanks to Activision for flying me out last week to LA, so I actually got my hands on the game early and was able to play this, and with this I was also able to see all of the items that will be in the full build of the game as well as their unlock level. So today, I'm going to be sharing the top 5 items to permanently unlock anytime you get a permanent unlock token. So like I said, if you reach rank 34 in the beta, you'll have a permanent unlock token right at launch. And presumably, every time you go through a prestige, just like with previous years, you will also get another permanent unlock token to use. Now, one thing to keep in mind while going through this list that's very important is I try to choose items that you unlock a little bit later in a prestige. It doesn't make sense to unlock an item that you can earn within just a few hours of gameplay time, because realistically speaking, as you go through your prestiges, you'll have access to that item for a large portion of your playtime anyways, and therefore I like to focus on items that are unlocked past the halfway point of your prestige. Now keep in mind, your halfway point of your prestige is not going to be rank 27.5, because as you go up in level, it takes more XP per level to level up. So the actual halfway point in a prestige between rank 0 and 55 is actually more like level 40. So I don't like to pick items that are unlocked earlier than level 40 because I'm going to have them available for more than half of my gameplay time anyways as I'm ranking through prestiges. So without further ado, let's hop right into the list. Starting it off with number 5, we have the Gunship. Now the Gunship is the highest streak in this game. It's basically the AC-130 from Modern Warfare 2 if you guys remember that. It is quite powerful, quite fun to use, but also fairly difficult to earn, so this one will depend on your skill level to an extent. If you're not somebody that's confident on going on longer streaks, obviously you probably don't want to be unlocking this one, but this is unlocked very, very late in the prestige at level 54. And therefore, if you want access to this highest streak, then I would say it's worth spending a permanent unlock token on. Next up, moving on to number 4, this is one of the brand new LMGs that we didn't have access to in the beta build of the game. This is the VKM 750. With this LMG, it's unlocked fairly late in the prestige at rank 46, and it's a very slow fire rate but high damage LMG. It's kind of like the Bren from COD World War II or the Gorgon from Black Ops 3. Now, I managed to get my hands on this gun a little bit with my early playtime. Not a whole lot, I'll admit. But overall, it did feel pretty good, and there's really nothing else like it that I could see in the game. And therefore, since it is such a unique experience, and you tend to get a lot of potential playtime out of a gun compared to something like a score streak, I thought it was worthy of this list. Next up, moving on to number 3, we have the Drone Squad score streak. This is a brand new score streak that we didn't have access to in the beta, and it appears to be pretty good based on my initial impressions of it. Honestly, I've only run into it a couple times in game, but it seems to be quite good. It's the type of streak that I really enjoy using because you just kind of call it in and it does its thing while you keep your gun up, which is awesome. And with this, it's unlocked quite late at level 51 in the prestige. Again, this is a somewhat similar story to the Gunship, although not to the same extreme at all. If you aren't confident with putting together a streak of kills in one life or a streak of score and kills in one life, you might want to stay away from this one. But having said that, this is more of a mid-tier streak. It costs 950 score and a life to earn, which isn't nearly as difficult to do as the Gunship, but also I recognize that for many beginner players out there, this is still a bit of a stretch. And if that's the case for you, I'd say probably stay away from spending your permanent unlock on this. For anybody else though, I highly recommend this streak. This brings us to number 2 on the list. This is the Saug 9mm SMG. This one is unlocked at rank 52, and it's essentially the VMP from Black Ops 3, which if you guys played Black Ops 3, you'll know just how powerful the VMP is. It's definitely the same story with the Saug 9mm. It's very, very powerful. I managed to get my hands on this quite a bit throughout the beta build of the game, and it's definitely up there as one of the best SMGs in the game, in my opinion, at least in its current state. So I'd highly recommend spending a permanent unlock token on this. So finally, this brings us to number 1, and this is likely what I'm going to be spending my very first permanent unlock token on. This is the Maddox Assault Rifle. Now, the Maddox is unlocked at rank 49, so relatively late in the prestige, not quite as late as some of the other things, but it's an extremely versatile gun. This assault rifle is really good up close. It actually competes fairly well with SMGs up close, I've found, but you can also stretch the range with it a little bit. In Blackout, not that it really applies to this, the Maddox is probably my favorite gun, or it's definitely like my top 3 favorite guns to use in Blackout, and that does carry over to multiplayer as well. I really enjoy using the Maddox, and I'd highly recommend spending a permanent unlock token on this. So those are the top 5 items I'd recommend spending a permanent unlock token on. Some of you guys might be wondering, why don't you spend it on perks or wild cards or pieces of equipment, because a lot of the equipment is actually unlocked fairly late. When it comes to perks, I feel like a lot of the better perks are actually unlocked earlier in a prestige, and therefore I'm not really going to bother spending a permanent unlock token on them. When it comes to wildcards, it's kind of a similar story. There aren't any wildcards that I feel that are really necessary that you don't unlock fairly early on in a prestige. The only one that I really see that's unlocked fairly late when it comes to wildcards is Underkill, and that allows you to run 2 secondaries, which to me is just not worth it. And finally, when it comes to equipment, well, it would be nice to have a frag grenade or a concussion or maybe a combat axe or a Molotov or something like that. The problem with that is you actually get your specialist equipment for free on your class if that's what you decide. Whereas if you want something like a frag grenade or a Molotov, you have to use one of your pick 10 points. Generally, I'd much rather just be using whatever the specialist equipment is than having to spend an extra point on my class using something that might not even be as good as the specialist equipment. So this is why I had the tendency to focus on guns as well as score streaks as I went through this list. So with that, of course, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are you guys going to be using for your very first permanent unlock token in Black Ops 4? Was it one of the items that I had on my list, or is it something completely different? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.